tonight's debate is a partnership event between two organisations, between Action Homeless and the Citizens' Eye Community News Agency. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob Parkinson. I'm Chief Executive of Action Homeless, and standing 5 yards to my right is John Coster, the editor of Citizens' Eye. Behind me, we have 9 of our 11 candidates to be Leicester's first elected mayor. And in a few minutes, I'm going to get each of them to introduce themselves very briefly to you so you know a bit about them and what they stand for. But before that, John and me just want to tell you a little bit about what tonight's debate is all about, because I think it's a bit different from some of the other debates that happen. This debate has its origins in a conversation I was having with about 8 or 9 of our service users at Phoenix Square about 2 months ago. And we were talking about some of the big issues that are affecting homeless people in the city at the minute. We were talking about the availability of affordable housing. We were talking about worklessness. We were talking about issues like personalisation and the benefit reforms and how they're going to affect people. And by the time we got to the end of that meeting, we thought, look, we have got to have an opportunity to talk to our potential elected mayor about just these kind of issues. And a few weeks later, I started to have a conversation with John, and we began to say, do you know what? There are quite a few different parts of our community that aren't having a big voice in the electoral debates so far, and we wanted to fill that. And John, I don't know if you want to chip in a bit here and say what this means for you tonight, but actually that's where our discussion started.
Absolutely. I mean, it started really when we were talking about Down Not Out, which is a news agency that we've jointly started together. You're the lead agency on it for homelessness. And it's not just about rough sleeping. You know, homelessness is so much more than just rough sleeping, which is easy to park. Just like as soon as you talk about LGBT issues, as soon as you mention HIV and AIDS, it allows people to park the LGBT issue, pretty much as it was done at the DMU hustings. So tonight gave us an opportunity, in partnership with Action Homeless, to come here and represent all of the 16 volunteer-run news agencies that we have across Leicester and Leicestershire that deal with young people with the Wave newspaper, older people, Senior Eye, D-Zine for disabilities, I Know Mag for ex-offenders. I started Citizens' Eye 3 years ago when I came out of prison myself, okay, so I know what it's like to have a voice. And what I suddenly realised was I've been to all of the hustings so far, yeah, and DMU's was very much about putting and positioning DMU in its position in the political arena, I think, if we're honest. BBC was very much about telling people somewhere in the city and definitely out in the county about the candidates, yeah, and I've been to a few single issue ones. LGBT, arts was an interesting one, because again, very specific. Whereas tonight, really, I think, you know, I'd like to say to the candidates, I think you can expect a bit of a tough crowd, not necessarily around politics and things like that, but I think the things you're going to have to deal with in the first 100 days are going to be a lot around cuts in frontline services. And here we've got organisations, and I can see some of the heads of organisations that I've worked with nodding now across all of those sectors, especially homelessness, refugee and asylum seekers, and older people. And again, a lot of the service users here as well will be the ones that ultimately will be the first people knocking on your door, because as soon as cuts come through that you're having to manage, it will be these people. Yeah, I love arts hustings, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of culture. Yeah, I love Leicester. Yeah, I think One Leicester's a great idea, all that kind of stuff. I've heard all that now. Yeah, tonight is about drilling down into a little bit more. Yeah, and I think hopefully some people will agree, all nodding. Hopefully you guys don't mind that, 'cause I'm sure you like getting teeth into a bit of policy.
Okay, cheers, John. Okay, without further ado, let's give our 9 candidates a chance to introduce themselves. I've been really strict with them about timing, so I said 1 minute each to do an initial introduction. I'm going to time you. If you start straying up to about 45, 50 seconds, I'm going to give you a 10-second warning, and I will cut you off. John thought I should have a tickling stick or something else to do it. I haven't gone that far, you'll be pleased to know. But we do want to keep the timing sharp tonight. Let's go in reverse alphabetical order. So Lee, do you want to kick us off?